You were with me for Forms 1.0 and Forms 2.0. Hopefully you'll get something out of Forms 3.0. We're going to cover some new features and some new integration ideas and some time to really dive in and create some Google Forms. If you're somebody who is joining us for the first time, this course is going to dial it back. So don't feel stressed out. Just because it says 3.0 doesn't mean that it's the prerequisites are 1 and 2. It just means that we're going for version 3. We've got new features, we've got new ideas, and we'll hopefully get you up and running with Google Forms before the course is over. So I'm pretty excited. So let's get started. So to get to Google Forms, I'm on my Chromebook. And so on my Chromebook, it's actually an app. And it should be under your app launcher somewhere on your Chromebook if you're on your Chromebook. And mine's kind of buried here. Google Forms. If you're not on your Chromebook and you're like, Jackie, why would I be on my Chromebook? You can just go to your Google Drive. From your Drive, you can create a new Google Form, or you could just go to forms.google.com and it'll actually reroute you to Google Forms. Which is really docs.google.com/forms, but who's paying attention to that? So the nice thing about going to Google Forms and launching from Google Forms is that you get the new Google Forms homepage, just like if you notice from Google Docs or Google Slides, there's this new template gallery. We're going to talk about this template gallery. It's going to be awesome. So and then it also has just a list of all of your forms. So instead of having to dig through your Drive, all of your forms are located here, which is really nice. And that's the same for all of the Google apps. If you just go to that Google Apps route, you have an option to create from there. So it's pretty cool. If I click on this template gallery at the top, so I'm just going to expand this template gallery. The default is for Hilton Central School District templates. I actually have some templates, so I'll put some in here, and one of which is the homework check-in. I've created a video on it. I've done a couple of how-to guides on the blog. I've presented a little bit on it, but that's one option, and I actually have that template, so I'll dump that in there for sure. And I'll show you how we can submit templates. So if you're somebody who's been working on forms and you've got really great ideas with Google Forms, anybody in the organization can submit a template here. The nice thing about submitting one of your files as a template is it's basically giving everybody view rights with the ability to make a copy. So if they click on your template, it automatically makes a copy for you, which is pretty awesome. So I'll put one in here and then we'll take a look at it. But if we click back on this general, they have these fun templates like a blank exit ticket, an assessment worksheet. It just has a couple of models of questions. There are some personal forms, party invites, registration forms, work forms that may or may not be applicable to you. But so they do have some templates here, but then of course you could always just make your own. Either a blank quiz from here or from the or just from the blank at the beginning. So I'm going to select exit ticket, and you can either join me with an exit ticket or you could just start with a blank form. But we're going to actually go through some of the new settings of forms, and we're going to look at how to add and arrange questions, and then from that'll be this first section of the course, and then it'll be some time for you to create some forms that you could use with your students. And then we'll talk about some kind of the advanced features of forms, moving between pages based on answers, ways of having your forms automatically graded within Google and without of Google, and then also like other options that you have with forms advanced features of things that you can do. So I created this. The second you click on a template from the template gallery, it makes you your own copy of that form. So if I change the name here, it's going to rename my form up here. So this is let's go over this. This is the title of your form here. This is the file name. So in your Google Drive, this is going to be up here, the file name that is going to show up in your Google Drive. So I highly recommend that you make sure that you're at the very least changing your file name and also giving it a title. Maybe you want them to coincide, maybe you don't want them to coincide. But change the name up here because I'm in a one of the templates that's not going to be the case. So and actually I just learned this in the midst of this recording. So if you were to, I'm just going back, you don't have to follow me, but if I were going back to a blank form and I launched a blank form, I'm just going to show you how the title updates when you change the title of the form, changes the file name up here. So good to note, if you're using a template, it's not going to change. So if I change this to Gilmore, and then if I click up here, it's going to, do you see that? It changes it to Gilmore already. So that's where that default name changing happens. Now I'm going to click back. Do you see this? All changes are happening in Drive. So it's because it's part of your your G Suite for education. Those things are always going to be happening, same with Google Docs and so forth. So you'll see now when I come back to the forms home, I'm going to have my Gilmore that I just made to show you. And then I still have my exit ticket that's not changed names because it didn't update. So if this is the case, that you're using a template, make sure that you update your title if you want. And maybe you don't want to call it Gilmore Sample Exit Ticket, but I do recommend some kind of like methodic file numbering, labeling features as you're kind of using Google Classroom and all of these things together, and we'll talk about those integrations and so forth. Okay, so titling your form, I lied to you. It doesn't happen if you're using a template the way that it does, but here we go. You can have just like in directions for your form here. So this is, before you leave class today, answer the following questions. So this particular exit ticket has, and because I'm using a template, it has some questions in here. So let's scroll through these. I have a short answer for name. I have an email. One important thing you learned in class today. Did you feel prepared? And what would help you make today's lesson more effective? Maybe you don't want to use this as this kind of assessment. Maybe you want to make it as more of like, did you get the skills or the learning targets from today's lesson? Ask specific questions, like, what is one type of rock that has cleavage? And then a multiple choice question and so forth. That's completely up to you. This is the template that I chose for today, and I'll show you how to change that. In my opinion, and it could be wrong, your email can be automatically collected from the form, and so that this question to me is superfluous because we are Google Apps for Education, which is now G Suite for Education. And because we have that, we can automatically grab those email addresses, which is a great feature because if kids mistype their name, they don't type in their email address properly, you're doing something where you don't want them to, you just wanted to collect it just in case they're trying to submit to somebody else. The kids will be kids. And so I'm going to actually just get rid of this question. So clicking delete. This is the question toolbar that travels with me. So this will add new questions. And then these are the types of questions that you can add. And there's new question types than there was in Google Forms 1 and 2. And so we have short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, checkboxes, and file upload, which is huge. So like you want students to check in their homework answers and they're just numerical, right? So I did my math homework last night and here's all of the equations and I solved for X and here's all of my answers. I could type in all of those answers and then upload a picture of my homework to show you that I did it. The form itself will grade the homework for you, and then you can quick check the work by a visual. So that's one way that you could use the file upload. You could use the file upload other ways where students are working in a worksheet together, they have to answer a couple of questions here, and then they're uploading something else or a drawing that they had to create that shows all of the things that you were asking questions about. So the file upload is super awesome, and you can specify specific file types, and I'll show you what that looks like. But so there are new questions. So that's the question feature here. Change it here. And then so just going down this floating toolbar, when you click, the toolbar is going to float with you, which I think is a really nice improvement in the new forms. And so then this new section, new title, what this is going to do, I'm just going to scroll to the bottom. So I have these 3 questions, and then maybe I want a new section. So I could have a multiple choice section and then a short answer section. And so the new title is going to give you a section header. So, if you were trying to mimic this, like looking like a unit test or a Regents exam or something along those lines, you could have these. However the directions are that you want them to have. And then beneath there, you could add questions. So then you add a question. The default is multiple choice. You can change that. And then you can ask your questions here. Okay, so, and then that looks like just a section header with directions. Okay. The next one is an image. So so the section header could say, base your answers to the following 3 questions on the image below. And then you have an image. Have a video and questions based off the video, and then this new whole section creates a whole second page. So then you get this, like, after section 1, what's going to happen. So you could have these kinds of things happening. You see this where if you had multiple sections, if you did this section, you got this answer, you could go to this page. If you completed this section, you can go to this page. And so you can also do this kind of like choose your own adventure Google form, and we're going to talk about that. So that is kind of the basics of Google Forms, the types of questions and the ways that you can break up your form. In the kind of editing form area, you can drag and drop your questions up and down and rearrange them. The longer your form gets, it gets a little clunky trying to drag all the way down your form to swap those out. But so that's as complicated as it gets. And that email one that was in there, they did have this, let me click on this. So when you do a short answer text question, you kind of get these like 3 dots here. And then you can also do what's called data validation. And so if you're entering a name, you want a number or a text that is, contains or is the following, and then you could have text in it. So if they don't type in something, they could get a custom error text. Won't actually let them submit if the whatever it is that they're putting in doesn't match this requirement. If you don't want data validation, you can just uncheck it and then it goes away. That's a nice feature for, like, you want them to put their email address in, it needs to be an email address. So if they put anything other than an email address in, they're not going to be able to submit that question.